Adam Duvall finds his way back to the Atlanta Braves, which make things a little bit easier when we're talking about predicting opening day roster spots, which I will do on today's episode of Locked On Braves. So let's get into it.
You are Locked On Braves, your daily Atlanta Braves podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, and welcome back to Locked On Braves, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, where we cover your favorite Atlanta sports teams each and every day. I am your host, Jake Mastriani. You can follow me on social media at ShortstopBall. Also, make sure you check out my written work over at BravesToday.com. Got a really good article. I think it's good anyway. You might agree as well on Jared Kellick. You want to go over there and check it out on the site. Make sure you follow the podcast on social media at LockedOn_Braves so you can submit in your mailbag questions for tomorrow's mailbag episode. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube if you're new. Over 9,500 subscribers now on the road to 10K. Hopefully by opening day. Going to take a lot of work to get there. But if you hit the thumbs up button on this video, you can help me do so because that means other people will get to see this video and hopefully subscribe. If you're listening on the audio version, thanks so much for your support. Thanks to all those who are everydayers here at Locked On Braves, those who support me here at Locked On Braves. Thank you so much. We got several people already with us in the chat. We're already almost to 100 people live with me at the beginning. I see Brennan, Leland, Rich Lechman in here, 4-Putt, Doug, Doc's Cards, Kyle Knapp, Patrick Rosser in here, Elliot Childress, One Iron Long. Haven't seen you in a while. Welcome back, One Iron. Rich Gunderlock, Chuck McMillan, Yosemite in here as well, Cody Cooper, Tina Churchwill, David Aguinis, Joe DeWild, Jeffrey Humphreys, Patrick Bowers, Andrew Hardy, David McIntyre, Pat Stockton, so many more. Chris Fuller, thank you so much all for joining me. Mike Wittenrauer, Sylvester Williams, thank you so much for being here with me live because we got a big episode. The reason there's so many people in here, we're going to be talking about this Adam Duvall move and what it means for the Braves roster, what it means for Jared Kellick. I'm going to break all of that down for you. I'm also going to give you my final opening day roster predictions. Not a ton to predict, not a lot left to be decided, but this Adam Duvall move certainly makes things a lot clearer. Also makes things a little bit more interesting as well. So let's get into it. And when I want to be clear up front because what I posted on social media, and I get it, sometimes you write out an article and people are only going to pick one part of that article and focus on that. So if you focus on one thing that I'm about to say, focus on this. The Adam Duvall signing is a very good signing. It is a no-brainer type of move at $3 million. I've gone on the record in the past saying I don't really think the Braves need Adam Duvall, but at $3 million, it's a slam dunk type of move to get a veteran in Adam Duvall that can play all three outfield positions. Had a really good year last year, missed a lot of time because he was hurt, and has been a productive veteran player, a player that's been productive with the Braves. I mean, this is the depth you want that the Braves just couldn't get because there wasn't a lot of playing time coming in here. We'll talk more about that in a second, but just on the surface, the signing is a no-brainer. Signing Adam Duvall for $3 million makes this Braves team better. There is no question about that. This Braves lineup, its depth, its bench is now much better today than it was yesterday because Adam Duvall is essentially a replacement for Jordan Luplow, a guy who I like and a guy who, if we're being honest and you're just going by the platoon aspects of this, may be a better platoon player than Adam Duvall. At least career-wise, you look at it, Jordan Luplow absolutely crushes lefties. For Adam Duvall, it's been kind of up and down. His splits are up and down in recent years. In 2021, he was terrible against lefties, and he crushed righties. And then in 2022, he crushed lefties, couldn't hit righties. And then last year, he crushed righties and was solid against lefties. But overall, he's been, I mean, his numbers are scary. Maybe scary is the wrong word there. And they are identical, basically, from each side. You go and look at his career numbers of versus righties and lefties, and they are identical, and they're both very good. I want to say it's 770 OPS against lefties, 760 OPS against righties. Should have written that down ahead of time. I apologize, but I'm pretty sure that's about what it is. So he's been very good against both sides throughout his career. It's just, at least in the last 3 years, there's been these extremes up and downs where one year he can hit one side, the next year he can't. He hits the other side. It's very odd for Adam Duvall. So to say that he is just a strictly platoon bat, that you're going to start him against lefties, I get the reasoning. I get why you would do that. But it's, in my mind, it's not like he's a guaranteed lefty masher. It has not been consistent, at least the last 3 years. Again, he's still a solid defender, all 3 spots. This is a great move. Again, if you take away nothing else from me, take this. This is a really good move by the Braves. The other part of this too is the luxury tax. Fangraphs Roster Resources put the Braves at $273 million as their luxury tax payroll. That's less than $4 million away from hitting that next threshold, which carries a 42.5% surcharge tax and a loss of 10 spots for your highest draft pick. So the Braves highest draft spot would move back 10 picks if the Braves add $4 million more to their luxury tax payroll. So that's something to keep in mind. That puts them right up against it if they don't want to go over it. And we don't know that. We're all just kind of speculating at this point. Let's get into the other side of this Adam Duvall signing conversation and what most people read when they looked at my tweet, and that's the Jarred Kelenic side of this. This is the part of it I don't quite understand, because from all we've heard and I went back and read the article that Mark Bowman posted on MLB.com, where he is basically saying that Jarred Kelenic is going to be the everyday left fielder. Quotes from Alex Anthopoulos. When you read the quote, it sounds more like we're leaning that way. We're hoping that's going to be the case. The quote from Brian Snitker is, he can be an everyday player. He has the ability to be an everyday player. So we've had this conversation ongoing that Jarred Kelenic is going to be the everyday left fielder. He's going to get everyday at bats to start the year. If that's the case, and I get it, and I hear everybody in my comments section on Twitter saying, you got to earn it. This is baseball. It's professionals. It's a business. I get that. This goes back for me to last spring training as well. And similar situation when I came on here and I kind of went on a rant about the fact that it wasn't really a competition between Vaughn Grissom and Braden Shoemake, because if it was, then Vaughn Grissom won that competition on the field in spring training. But it wasn't a competition. They were going to give it to Orlando Arcia the entire time. And I said, that's okay. You go back and listen to the end of that podcast. I said, Orlando Arcia will be fine. He's not going to cost the Braves a World Series. Maybe some people think he did with his antics in the postseason. But I said at the end of that, he'd be fine. And that's a fine decision. My issue then was we were led to believe something that wasn't true. And that's my same kind of issue with this, is we were also led to believe something that wasn't really true, or maybe it was, and they've all of a sudden just gone back on their word. The other side of this too that I think is even more worrisome is the Braves see Jarred Kelenic in spring training and they're worried. And I hope that's not the case for a couple of reasons. One being, we as fans can overreact to spring training. That is what we do. Coaches overreacting to spring training results, front offices overreacting to spring training results, that seems a bit knee-jerky in my mind. If you went and made all these moves to get Jarred Kelenic, and then after 30 spring training at-bats, you decide, no, he can't handle it every day. We got to find a platoon partner for him. And oh, by the way, Jarred Kelenic's going to get 450, 500 at-bats. As a left-handed platoon player, he's still going to start the majority of the games. Just go look at Eddie Rosario and his workload last year. He's going to get 400-plus at-bats as long as he stays healthy. But that is maybe the more worrisome part of this, is that the coaching staff and the front office have got to look at Jarred Kelenic, and they said, we can't play this guy every day. He cannot handle an everyday workload. He is not there yet, and he needs more time. which is understandable and acceptable. He's still 24 years old. He's still obviously trying to make that transition from minor league success to big league success. I get that. It just feels odd to me. I can't. I've been trying to think all day of the word to use for this, and I really just can't come up with anything. But it just feels odd to me that the front office, made all these moves to get Jarred Kellick. And as Joe Duvall said, that he's under team control from cheap. I get that. But the front office went out and did all this maneuvering to get Jarred Kellick to be their everyday left fielder. The talk from the GM and the manager coming into spring training was that he would get a chance to possibly be the everyday left fielder. 30 at-bats into spring training, that's no longer the case. And they all of a sudden feel the need to go out and get a platoon partner for him. Now, on the flip side of this, you could say maybe Duvall just fell to a price point. They didn't think they could get him, and they just couldn't pass up on this. And they had to tell Duvall, we'll find ways to get you at-bats. Maybe that's part of the conversation. Maybe it's not so much about them not trusting Jarred Kellick as then they saw this opportunity to get a really good veteran outfielder for very cheap. And in order to do that, they had to tell him, they'll find ways to get him at bats. That's also certainly possible. But if it's not that, and it's the fact that they are really worried about Jarred Kellick as an everyday player after 30 plus spring training at bats, then that worries me. But they'll never tell us that. We may not know the answer to that, but as of right now, Jarred Kellick is a platoon player, a strong side platoon player. He's going to get the majority of the at-bats. And bottom line, again, I love this move. Do not take anything that I just said away from the fact that I love this move. It is great. It is great depth to get a bat and a veteran like Adam Duvall. All right. Now we will turn our attention to opening day roster predictions, and we'll start with the bench, where Adam Duvall is now penciled in as a bench platoon partner. We'll discuss all of that here next. Fire TV is your destination for sports, from live games to highlights to in-depth analysis. Fire TV offers amazing viewing experiences with smart TVs, as well as the Fire TV Stick, which is what I got getting ready for baseball season. You can plug that into your existing TV, and it provides access to millions of movies and TV episodes, as well as free and live TV. Whether it's opening weekend of baseball or March Madness coming up, you're going to want to have a Fire TV. Fire TV also recently created Fire TV channels to deliver a constant supply of the latest videos from your favorite sports brands, all for free. And that includes us here at Locked On and most of the big pro leagues, as well as college conferences. Fire TV channels let you dive into all of the game analysis, highlights, and more to keep you up to date on all the latest in the world of sports, whether that be March Madness, NBA, MLB, and lots more. Not to mention great news, entertainment, gaming, travel, cooking videos as well if you want to take a break from the sports world. But why would you? Right now, it's the best time of the year to be a sports fan, and you can enjoy that over on Fire TV. They also check out their Fire TV channels, apps on Fire TV and Alexa devices. If you haven't checked those out, I'm telling you, you need to. Go ahead and check them out right now. And to learn more, visit Amazon.com/LockedOnFireTV. Say goodbye to busted brackets, because FanDuel lets you bet on every game of the tournament. Whether you're betting on a big upset or a 1 seed, it's time to go dancing on America's #1 sportsbook. And right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 to use on point spreads, money lines. You can even pick who's going to win it all. Right now, you think that's UConn, who's the favorite? You can get them at plus 4,800 on FanDuel. Or if you think my Auburn Tigers are going to make a run to the Final Four and win it all, they are at plus 2,000 to win the tournament. You can see all those odds at FanDuel.com/LockedOn. Also, on the baseball side of things, they have team-specific specials out now, like will Spencer Strider record 250-plus strikeouts in the regular season, and will Ronald Acuña Jr. reach 50-plus stolen bases in the regular season? That seems like a lock to me if both of those guys stay healthy. And you can check out those MLB future lines at FanDuel.com/LockedOn. Also bet on the March Madness hoops coming up. Also visit FanDuel.com/PlaySafe for tools and resources to help you stay in control of the way you play. FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NBA. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV in the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today now available on the free Fire TV channels app. Tomorrow on the podcast, Friday, we will have our mailbag episode. Get ready to submit your questions for that. And then on Monday, I'm going to tell you 5 prospects who I think are set to break out in 2024. So you don't want to miss that episode coming up on Monday. Let's jump into the opening day roster predictions. We are 2 weeks away as I record this on Thursday night. We are 2 weeks away from opening day. Obviously, the Seal series kicking off next week between the Dodgers and Padres. But 2 weeks from today, we will know whether or not the Braves are 1-0 on the season. So gearing up for that, and it's a good time to go ahead and give our final opening day roster predictions. And as I said, with the signing of Duvall, it kind of makes the picture a little bit clearer, especially when it comes to the bench. You know you're going to have Travis d'Arnaud, you know you're going to have Luis Guillorme, and you know you're going to have Adam Duvall. So that only leaves one spot left. I think the most likely candidates are either David Fletcher or Forrest Wall. The Braves talked early in camp, and who knows what to believe when they say anything now, but they talked early in camp about that final spot coming down to somebody with speed. I think that highly favors Forrest Wall, and it gives you a left-handed bat off the bench. So I would not be surprised if Forrest Wall still gets that final spot on the bench. You could go David Fletcher. He can handle, well, obviously you have Duvall for the outfield spots, but Fletcher can handle a corner outfield spot if needed to in a pinch. But I think it's between Fletcher and Forrest Wall at this point. Eli White would be the other possible option, but I think it's down to Fletcher and Wall for that final spot at this point. I don't think there are any restrictions on Acuña to start the year, but if so, carrying both Duvall and Forrest Wall makes a lot more sense for the bench. Looking at the starting rotation, you obviously have locked up Spencer Strider, Max Fried. Imagine combining those two guys, Chris Sale and Charlie Morton. So who gets that last spot? It's either Bryce Elder or Ronaldo Lopez. Or is it? Could we see A.J. Smith-Shawver still get a chance in this opening day rotation? Neither Lopez or Elder, in my mind, has really separated themselves. Obviously, Lopez has been the better of the two, but A.J. Smith-Shawver, he's getting another start on Friday. So we'll see what happens there. I know he's already been reassigned, but maybe he's still in that mix. The money is there was a line for this on FanDuel. It would heavily favor Ronaldo Lopez, and I think it always has been since the beginning. I think Ronaldo Lopez has been the favorite, but there's concerns with him, especially in his last outing, seeing that velo dip down. That was one of my main keys coming into spring training to watch for is as spring training goes on and as he starts to go deeper into games, what does that velocity look like? Can he be as effective at 94, 95 with that slider? That still remains to be seen, but certainly Bryce Elder hasn't shown anything either to alleviate the second half concerns we had for him last year. So it's not a great spot. And I know everybody's been posting videos of Michael Soroka looking good over for the White Sox. It is spring training. You have to keep that in mind, but I just haven't really seen anything from Elder or Lopez to make me feel great about either one of them winning the 5th starter job. I think A.J. Smith-Shawver could still be in it. He's impressed me the most. I know he has an elevated ERA this spring training, but that changeup that he has that he's been able to throw consistently really takes A.J. Smith-Shawver to right more into this competition than I think maybe he would have otherwise. I still think it's going to be Lopez, but we'll see how things play out. We'll talk about this in the bullpen section in a minute, but I do think it's going to be Lopez. He's going to get the first crack at that starter spot. Going to the bullpen, you got your what I call our core 5. Iglesias, Minter, Jimenez, Johnson, and Bummer. I think those are your main 5 guys in the bullpen. The next 3 spots, I think the Braves could possibly go different ways. I think it's Matzik, Lee, and Stevens. I don't love that. I don't know that there's a need for a fourth lefty. I don't know why Ken Giles isn't getting more of a look for one of those spots. Matzek did have a clean inning on Thursday. That was good to see. I don't know that a fourth lefty is needed. I think you could send either Matzek on a rehab assignment to start the year, or you could send Dylan Lee back down. He has options left, and go with a Ken Giles and give you another righty who looked good in spring training, has good stuff. I think that could be another option that the Braves decide to go. I don't think that's written in stone, but as of today, I think it's Matzek, Lee, and Stevens for those last spots. Stevens is just kind of that bulk getting guy, that garbage time type of pitcher. I had that spot pegged for Huascar Ynoa before spring training, but we just haven't been able to see much to anything of him so far. I just don't think he's gotten to a point where he's ready even for that role. Maybe he takes it over at some point. I kind of tell you what I would love to see. Going back to AJ Smith-Shawver, maybe go the Spencer Strider route with him and maybe start him out in that multi-inning reliever role to begin the year. And then when a rotation spot opens, you insert him in there, keep him stretched out, and you insert AJ Smith-Shawver into the rotation. By doing that and having him on the opening day roster to begin the year, it possibly gives you the opportunity to be a part of that prospect incentive and maybe get a draft pick out of it. So I want AJ Smith-Shawver to get the development that he needs, and he most likely gets that going back to AAA and starting every fifth day. But I wouldn't hate it if they saw enough from him in spring training that they felt more confident in him getting big league outs consistently. I wouldn't hate the idea of putting him in the bullpen in that multi-inning reliever role and doing something like what they did with Spencer Strider 2 years ago. I don't think that's off the table either. But again, if I'm picking right now, it's Iglesias, Minter, Jimenez, Johnson, Bummer, and then Matzek, Lee, and Stevens. But I think those last three spots, I think are still somewhat up for grabs at the moment. Again, I think Ken Giles still makes a lot of sense for one of those last moves, although I don't think we've seen him make an appearance since he was reassigned. I think AJ Smith-Shawver still makes some sense as that bulk inning reliever type to at least start the year until a spot opens up in the rotation. So those are my final predictions, what I think will be on the opening day roster, some of those position battles and who is involved in them still right now. But let me know your thoughts. Who should get that final bench spot? Who should get that final fifth starter spot? Who should get those final bullpen spots? Let me know down in the comments section below. Next, we'll get into a little bit of news, including a big trade, a name that we talked about all offseason long. Dylan Cease finally has been traded, not to the Braves, but to the Padres. What are the Padres doing? We'll discuss all of that here next. Conference tournaments are here, which means the biggest moments in college basketball are getting closer. Be a part of the action on PrizePicks for both men's and women's college basketball. PrizePicks even offers injury insurance, so that if your entries stay in play, even if one of your player gets injured. For basketball games, if you have a player, they exit a game in the first half, you're all upset, it's going to mess up your line. Don't worry. As long as they don't return in the second half, that player projection won't count against you and the rest of your entry stays alive. PrizePicks also offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday. Each Tuesday, PrizePick discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value. They even have over-unders on spring training games right now. You're feeling pretty good. Ronald Acuña Jr. is back in the lineup. Maybe he's going to get a home run here soon. You can pick an over-under on that, or Spencer Strider strikeouts, whatever it may be. They have you over on PrizePicks, and it's really just that simple. All you got to do, go over there, pick between 2 to 6 players that you like, and decide if you think they'll go over or under on certain stats like hits, home runs, strikeouts, or if you're into March Madness or NBA, points, blocks, or assists. It's really just that simple. Just pick over-under on 2 to 6 players, lock that in. Download the app today and use our code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, that's code LOCKEDONMLB for a deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy with PrizePicks. Remind you quickly one more time that Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and it's now available on Amazon Fire TV and the free Fire TV Channels app. So go check it out today. Let's jump into the news really quickly. Teased it before the break. White Sox traded Dylan Cease to the San Diego Padres for Drew Thorpe, Jairo Iriarte, Samuel Zavala, and Steven Wilson. Talked about Dylan Cease all offseason, the Braves potentially trading for him. Ultimately, the Braves and the Reds and many other teams felt like the price was too high. I don't necessarily think this is a huge price. Drew Thorpe, one of the players that the Padres got from the Yankees in the Juan Soto trade. I think if you're comping this to what the Braves would have had to give, though, you probably would think it was too high of a price. I think a safe comparison would be either A.J. Smith-Shawver or Hurston Waldrop would be similar to Drew Thorpe, both top 100 or all of them top 100 prospects. Nacho Alvarez would be the closest the Braves have to Iriarte. And then Dylan Glad would be another one as somebody, or Douglas Glad rather, would be somebody maybe similar to Zavala. It's kind of a lottery ticket type guy. And then Dylan Dodd maybe as a Steven Wilson kind of throw in, a guy who can step into the back of your rotation if you needed to add some more depth in the starting rotation. I think that's probably a similar package. So just say, Shawver, Nacho, Glad, and Dodd. We got the rhymes going on there. I think that would have been somewhat of a similar package it would have taken to get Cease. And I think most Braves fans would say that's probably too much for them to get a year or 2 years of Dylan Cease. But the Padres get him. They land him. I don't know what the Padres are doing. They're selling Juan Soto. They're trading for Dylan Cease. Are they winning? Are they out? What are they doing over there? AJ Preller always going for it. So we'll see what happens with the Padres this year. Maybe Dylan Cease will be available at the trade deadline if the Padres can't get it going. Let's turn to Braves camp. Acuña is back. Mentioned it earlier. He is back in the lineup, playing DH, leading off. He did go over 3 with 2 strikeouts, but if you think taking 5 days off is tough to come back from, try taking 2 weeks off from facing any live pitching in spring training, and it's obviously not very easy. What seemed very easy on Thursday was Chris Sale striking out batters because he struck out 6 over 3 1/3. Did give up a couple of runs. One of those was came in after he left the game. But Chris Sale looked really, really good with those 6 strikeouts. I mentioned Matzik. He came in, had a perfect inning, struck out 2. That's great to see for him. Luplow got pulled out of the starting lineup, talking about Jordan Luplow, and now we know why, as he has been released from the team so that he can get an opportunity somewhere else. Nice to do by the Braves, as obviously they get Adam Duvall replacing Jordan Luplow, signing Duvall for $3 million. So some big news coming out from yesterday and today with both the Dylan Cease trade and the Adam Duvall signing. Now we are, as I mentioned earlier, 2 weeks away from opening day, just 14 days away. So let's look at some jersey numbers from the Braves. Wearing number 14, Sam Hilliard wore it last year. Adam Duvall wore it from 2021 to 2022. So we'll see if he'll wear it again with the Braves in 2024. Jonathan Lucroy, Christian Pache, Matt Joyce, and Rio Ruiz also wore the number. Adonis Garcia in 2015. One of my favorite Braves players, not Adonis Garcia, but Martin Prado, wore it from 2006 to 2012. And then another fan favorite, Julio Franco, wore it from 2003 to 2007. So that number had a pretty good run there for a while with Franco and Prado. And the Big Cat wore it from 1998 to 2000. So some really fun names there, especially in the late 90s, early 2000s with the Big Cat, Andres Galarraga, Julio Franco, and Martin Prado. So it's 14 days away from opening day. Cannot wait to get it started. It's also launch night, or at least early release of MLB The Show. So I'm going to be playing that a lot as well to get going here with opening day. Again, tomorrow we'll have our mailbag episode. Look for a tweet from LockedOn_Braves. Submit your question to that tweet to be answered on Friday's mailbag podcast. I'll send that tweet out sometime Friday afternoon. And then on Monday, I'm going to tell you 5 prospects who are set to break out in 2024. So if you're a prospect nerd, maybe you play in a deep dynasty league, I'm going to give you 5 names you really need to watch out for coming into next season. Thank you, Jeffrey Humphreys. Make sure you like and subscribe. We got Leland still in here with me. Alan Hayes says, let's go. Duvall is back. A lot of Braves fans happy to have Adam Duvall back. We got new Turbo in here with us still. 4-putt, made it all the way to the end. Miguel Freya joined us. Nick Harvey, Tina Churchwell still in here. Julie C., Cody Cooper as well. Win Gracer, Little E, thank you so much for joining me here, making it to the end. Sean Finley says Galarraga days till opening day. Cannot wait. Little E, Soroka has a 2.00 ERA, 9 innings, 12 Ks, 1.11 whip. You know what? Good for Soroka, and I hope he figures it out. I hope he has a huge year for the White Sox, not just because he's on my deep fantasy league that I'm in, but also because I want to see him succeed, and I want to see the Braves trade for him at the deadline. Bring him in if they need him. But yes, Soroka off to a good start in spring training. But thank you all for joining here. Doug Kuntz, Taylor Parker as well. Appreciate that. David McIntyre also in here. Alan Daniel, Testing Tolerance. Mauricio, Mass Boost in here at the well. Battle for Truth. David Agnesia, thank you so much for joining me here live tonight. Thanks for all your support here at Locked On Braves. That will do it for this episode. Make sure you follow us on social media at ShortstopBall, at LockedOn_Braves. Make sure you subscribe if you're new on the road to 10K by opening day. I need 500 subscribers in 2 weeks. Can you help me get there? Hit that thumbs up button on the video, and you will help me get there. If you're listening on the audio version, I appreciate you as well. Make sure that you rate, review, and subscribe to the Locked On Braves podcast wherever you get your podcast, and we will talk to you next time.